This is the story of Latisha Collier, a woman who built her reputation on helping others with their taxes and finances, only to become one of the most talked about scammers in reality television history. Her journey from self-proclaimed boss entrepreneur to federal investigation subject is a wild ride that nobody saw coming. Before we dive deep into this unbelievable story, you need to understand how someone can look so successful on the outside while their entire world crumbles from the inside. The most shocking part isn't just what she did, but who she did it to and how she kept getting away with it for so long. This isn't just about stolen money or fake documents. This is about a pattern of behavior that destroyed families, ruined businesses, and left a trail of victims who trusted the wrong person at the worst possible time. When you hear the full story, you'll understand why her name sends chills down the spines of anyone who's ever hired an accountant in Davenport, Iowa. The reality show that made her famous was supposed to be about love conquering all obstacles. Instead, it became a front-row seat to one of the most brazen fraud operations in recent memory. Let's start from the beginning and see exactly how everything fell apart. Latisha Collier burst onto reality television screens through the show Love During Lockup, which documents relationships between civilians and incarcerated individuals. Her storyline centered around her marriage to Keith Collier, who was serving a 14-year federal prison sentence for distributing crack cocaine and marijuana. She presented herself as a successful businesswoman who had overcome her own criminal past to build boss tax and accounting services in Davenport, Iowa. The narrative she sold to viewers was inspirational on the surface. Here was a woman with felony convictions on her record who had turned her life around and created a legitimate business helping people with their taxes and financial planning. But behind the cameras and Instagram posts about being a boss, a very different story was unfolding. Latisha had a criminal history spanning over 20 years, including multiple arrests for offenses ranging from driving with a suspended license to felony check fraud. These weren't just youthful mistakes buried in the past. They were warning signs that nobody seemed to notice until it was too late. Her business, boss tax, and accounting services far became the vehicle for what authorities would later describe as systematic theft and fraud targeting vulnerable clients. The first major victim to speak publicly was a woman named Colleen, whose story is absolutely heartbreaking. Colleen hired Latisha to handle bookkeeping for her business during one of the most difficult periods imaginable. Her daughter, Tylia, was fighting cancer and needed emergency surgery at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Colleen was too busy trying to save her child's life to properly vet the accountant she had hired. She didn't have time to dig into Latisha's criminal background or check references thoroughly. She just needed someone she could trust to keep her business running while she focused on keeping her daughter alive. Within a short time, red flags started appearing everywhere. The accounting software company FreshBooks notified Colleen that Latisha was being kicked off their platform due to repeated non-payment. The business paperwork Latisha provided looked incomplete and sloppy. Messages went unanswered for days or weeks at a time. When Colleen tried to get answers about what was happening with her business finances, Latisha became increasingly difficult to reach. The relationship deteriorated so badly that Colleen eventually sued Latisha for approximately $11,000 in small claims court, seeking to recover money she believed was owed to her. Latisha's response to being sued was absolutely shocking. Instead of trying to resolve the dispute or explain what had happened to the money, she countersued Colleen for $750,000, claiming defamation. I think about that for a moment. A mother fighting to save her dying child's life, who hired someone to help with her business, is now being sued for $750,000 by the very person she trusted. Colleen described hiring Latisha as the worst mistake she ever made. She launched a relentless social media campaign to warn others about Latisha's history and protect potential future victims. The emotional toll on Colleen's family was devastating. Her daughter, Tylia, already dealing with a terminal illness, worried about her mother's stress levels. Colleen stated that the relationship with Latisha wasted precious time she should have spent with her daughter during their final days together. When a local news station offered Latisha the chance to tell her side of the story, she declined, but issued a carefully worded statement emphasizing her commitment to ethical business practices and client satisfaction. The case between Colleen and Latisha continues to play out in court to this day. But Colleen wasn't Latisha's only victim. In April 2024, another client came forward with allegations that led to Latisha's arrest on felony theft charges. This client had hired Boss Tax and Accounting Services to handle a tax payment to the IRS. The client provided Latisha with $8,788 on April 26, 2023, to cover tax liabilities for multiple years. Latisha even provided a detailed receipt breaking down exactly where the money would go: $40 to Iowa for 2022 taxes, $457 to Illinois for 2022 taxes, $4,159 to the IRS for 2022, and $4,132 for 2021 taxes. The client trusted that their tax debt was being handled by a professional. Months passed without any confirmation from the IRS or state tax agencies. Then the client received something terrifying: notices from the IRS that their taxes remained unpaid, along with additional penalties and interest charges for the late payment. The money had never been sent to the government at all. Police investigations revealed that Latisha had simply kept the money for herself. She was arrested and charged with felony theft after authorities seized her business records and electronic devices during their investigation. When Latisha was arrested in April 2024, she posted a $5,000 bond and was quickly released. And her response on social media surprised many people because she didn't deny the allegations or blame the victim. Instead, she posted a message about staying positive in negative situations and hoping to work things out between both parties. She thanked supporters and expressed hope for a quick resolution that would benefit everyone involved. Her husband Keith, who was still incarcerated at the time, reportedly posted her bond from prison. The financial problems extended far beyond just stealing from clients. Boss Tax and Accounting Services faced evictions from multiple locations in an 18-month period. The business was first evicted from a Davenport location in July 2023 for unpaid rent. They relocated to a new Davenport location, only to be sued again by that landlord in November 2023 for failure to pay rent. The business also operated a location in Waterloo, Iowa, where they were sued by the landlord for over $4,000 in unpaid rent and bounced checks. Latisha's pattern of avoiding payment became increasingly brazen. When faced with eviction from her Davenport location in late 2023, she filed for bankruptcy on December 27th, the exact same day a judge signed an order for her forcible removal from the property. This wasn't the first bankruptcy filing for Boss Tax and Accounting Services. It was the second one in less than 16 months. Court documents revealed that the bankruptcy filing appeared to be done in bad faith, specifically to delay the eviction process and buy more time in the building without paying rent. The judge handling the bankruptcy case didn't fall for the tactic. But after reviewing the filing and the company's history, the judge dismissed the bankruptcy petition. More significantly, the judge referred Latisha's case to the United States Attorney's Office for investigation into potential bankruptcy fraud. The court documents were scathing, noting Latisha's long history of problematic behavior and suggesting that her actions should trouble anyone concerned about maintaining the integrity of the bankruptcy system. The judge specifically called out what appeared to be bad faith filings designed to manipulate the legal system. Even more shocking, Latisha owed massive amounts in her own personal taxes despite running a tax preparation business. In January 2024, the Iowa Department of Revenue filed a tax lien against her for over $31,000. The lien covered unpaid individual income taxes for 2020 and 2021, totaling over $30,000, plus nearly $1,000 in unpaid withholding taxes. An accountant who helps others with their taxes while owing tens of thousands in their own unpaid taxes creates an obvious credibility problem. Throughout 2024 and into 2025, Latisha's legal troubles multiplied exponentially. In August 2025, she was arrested again on new felony charges of forgery and identity theft. The allegations were particularly disturbing because they involved a longtime client who had trusted Latisha as their business accountant and tax preparer for approximately 10 years. According to police affidavits, Latisha had applied for a rental property in March 2024 and was denied. Instead of accepting the rejection, when she allegedly applied again in August 2024 using her former client's identity. The identity theft scheme involved submitting her client's social security number, driver's license, date of birth, tax returns, and employment information. Latisha signed the lease using her victim's name, but provided her own contact information so she could actually move into the property. The rental was in the upscale Pebble Creek subdivision in LeClaire, Iowa, and the anticipated cost over the lease term exceeded $37,000. Essentially, Latisha allegedly stole someone's entire identity to secure housing she couldn't get approved for on her own. After being arrested on the forgery and identity theft charges, Latisha posted on Facebook Live that her bail had been reduced from $40,000 to $10,000. And she announced her intention to plead not guilty to all charges. This arrest happened while she was still facing the separate felony theft trial scheduled for January 2026, related to the client whose tax money she allegedly kept. At this point, Latisha had multiple active criminal cases proceeding simultaneously through the court system. The financial chaos in Latisha's life created additional consequences. Her first lawyer in the theft case withdrew from representing her because, according to court records, she failed to pay him for his legal services. Even her attorney became another unpaid creditor in the long list of people and businesses Latisha allegedly failed to compensate. Multiple other businesses sued Boss Tax and accounting services for unpaid bills. During this entire period, Latisha continued filming for reality television. She appeared on both Love During Lockup and Love After Lockup as her legal problems mounted. Her husband Keith was finally released from federal prison in September 2024 after serving most of his 14-year sentence. He initially went to a halfway house in Kansas City before joining Latisha in Iowa. Their reunion, which should have been a happy ending to their reality show storyline, quickly became complicated by both of their legal issues. In November 2025, both Latisha and Keith were arrested together on drug charges in Bettendorf, Iowa. Police allegedly observed Keith conducting a hand-to-hand drug transaction, selling synthetic marijuana known as K2 to a confidential source. When officers pulled over the couple's vehicle, they found approximately 2 ounces of marijuana inside. Latisha was charged with misdemeanor possession of a controlled substance. Keith faced multiple felony charges, including 2 counts of possession and 1 count of possession with intent to deliver. He was also charged with failure to affix a drug tax stamp, which is required in Iowa for illegal drug sales. The arrest was particularly problematic for Keith because he was still on federal probation from his original conviction. Being arrested on new drug charges while on supervised release could result in him being sent back to federal prison to serve additional time. Latisha posted a $1,000 bond and was released within an hour of her arrest. Keith remained in custody with bonds totaling $25,000 because of the more serious charges he faced and his probation status. By this point, the Boss Tax and Accounting Services website was no longer active. The business that Latisha had built her entire public persona around appeared to have completely collapsed. Throughout her legal troubles, Latisha maintained a defiant public stance on social media. When facing eviction notices, she posted messages telling followers not to believe everything they read on the internet and to mind their own business. She wrote about big money and big bills, suggesting her problems were simply part of handling major business operations. She posted motivational quotes about staying positive and being strong during difficult times. The contrast between her social media presence and the mountain of legal allegations against her created a surreal disconnect. Some observers wondered how Latisha managed to continue operating her business and maintaining clients despite her growing criminal record. Part of the answer lies in how she presented herself publicly. She was open about having felony convictions in her past, framing them as obstacles she had overcome through hard work and determination. And this narrative of redemption and second chances made her story appealing to people who believed everyone deserves an opportunity to rebuild their lives after mistakes. The reality show platform gave Latisha additional credibility in the eyes of potential clients. Being featured on television suggested legitimacy and success. People saw her on their screens talking about her business and assumed she must be legitimate if a national network was filming her story. They didn't necessarily know about the ongoing legal issues or the pattern of allegations from multiple victims across multiple years. The show focused on the romantic storyline with Keith, not the mounting evidence of fraud and theft. Latisha's case raises important questions about how people can protect themselves when hiring financial professionals. Basic background checks might have revealed her criminal history, but many people don't think to run checks on accountants or tax preparers. Professional licensing requirements for tax preparers vary by state, and not all states require extensive vetting. Someone in a desperate situation, like Colleen dealing with her daughter's cancer, might not have the time or energy to thoroughly investigate everyone they hire. The victims in Latisha's case share common characteristics. Many were small business owners or individuals dealing with complex tax situations. Some were facing personal crises that made them vulnerable and desperate for help. They trusted Latisha because she presented herself professionally and gave them detailed receipts and documentation. When problems arose, she was skilled at making excuses and delaying confrontation until it was too late for clients to easily recover their money. The total amount of money involved across all of Latisha's alleged victims and unpaid debts likely exceeds hundreds of thousands of dollars. Between the theft allegations from individual clients, unpaid rent across multiple business locations, unpaid vendors and service providers, her personal tax liens, and the bankruptcy filings claiming large debts, the financial damage is substantial. Each victim represents not just a dollar amount, but real harm to real people who were trying to handle their responsibilities and got scammed by someone they trusted. As of early 2026, Latisha faces multiple pending criminal trials. The felony theft trial related to the client whose tax money she allegedly kept is scheduled for January 2026. The forgery and identity theft charges stemming from the rental application fraud are also proceeding through the court system. Any conviction on these felony charges could result in significant prison time. If convicted on multiple counts, Latisha could face years behind bars, ironically joining her husband in the criminal justice system that their reality show romance was built around. The story of Latisha Collier serves as a cautionary tale about the importance of due diligence when hiring anyone to handle your finances. It demonstrates how someone can maintain a public facade of success while their entire operation crumbles behind the scenes. It shows how victims often discover problems too late, and after money has been stolen or misused, and recovery becomes nearly impossible. Most importantly, it reveals how patterns of criminal behavior can persist even when someone claims to have reformed and built a legitimate business. For the victims like Colleen, no amount of legal consequences for Latisha can undo the damage that's been done. Colleen lost precious time with her terminally ill daughter, fighting legal battles over money that should have gone to her business. Other clients face IRS penalties and collection actions because taxes they paid Latisha to handle were never actually submitted. Landlords lost tens of thousands in unpaid rent, while Latisha allegedly used bankruptcy filings to delay evictions. The human cost of her alleged crimes extends far beyond the dollar amounts listed in court documents. Much the story of what really happened to Latisha Collier is still being written as her various criminal cases proceed through the justice system. What we know so far paints a picture of someone who allegedly used their business as a vehicle for fraud, targeting vulnerable clients and using increasingly desperate measures to avoid consequences. From stealing tax payments to committing identity theft to fraudulently filing for bankruptcy, the allegations describe someone willing to cross any line to maintain their lifestyle and avoid accountability. Whether justice will ultimately be served remains to be seen as the courts work through the complex web of charges and victims.